Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan hold talks aimed at restoring the Black Sea Initiative.
The legendary American crooner Tony Bennett, who worked with singers as diverse as Frank Sinatra and Lady Gaga, has died.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky held talks with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan on Friday to discuss the restoration of the Black Sea Initiative. He said the world could be on the brink of a food crisis after Russia ended the grain export deal. The UN says this could have global implications.
Monday's confirmation that the Russian Federation was withdrawing from the Black Sea Initiative was immensely disappointing to all of us.
The new wave of attacks on Ukrainian ports risks having far-reaching impacts on global food security, in particular in developing countries.
Russia, meanwhile, has defended its decision, accusing Ukraine of using the humanitarian corridor to organize what it described as terrorist attacks, notably on the Crimean Bridge. Ukraine says that Russia has now moved to target grain farms in the Odessa region. Prominent Russian nationalist Igor Girkin was remanded in custody on Friday on charges of inciting extremism. He used his Telegram account to publicly accuse President Vladimir Putin and the army's top brass of not pursuing the war in Ukraine harshly or effectively enough. Also known as Igor Strelkov, Girkin helped Russia annex Crimea from Ukraine in 2014. His arrest by state security suggests the authorities have grown tired of his criticism of Moscow's so-called special military operation. A federal judge has ordered that former US President Donald Trump's trial for the alleged mishandling of top-secret documents begin in May 2024. This means he'll be going to court at the height of what is expected to be a bitter and divisive presidential election campaign. Prosecutors had earlier called for the trial to begin in December this year, while Trump's lawyers wanted it to be postponed until after the polls. Currently the frontrunner for the Republican nomination, the case is one of several legal woes he faces as he campaigns. US President Joe Biden has chosen Admiral Lisa Franchetti to lead the US Navy. If confirmed, she'll become the first female member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Franchetti is currently Vice Chief of Operations for the Navy, and her nomination comes against the recommendations of Biden's Pentagon chief. Officials say he chose her because of her broad scope of experience at sea and ashore, including a number of high-level policy and administrative jobs. She's slated to serve as the acting chief beginning next month, when the current top Navy officer retires. This controversial barge, which docked on England's south coast on Tuesday, is set to accommodate 500 asylum seekers. Its arrival came hours after the government's long-debated bill to curb illegal migration was passed by the House of Lords. On Friday, journalists were allowed to visit the large rectangular vessel, which will see single men given accommodation in rooms with metal bunk beds and televisions. The government has defended the use of barges to house migrants, saying it's a cheaper alternative to accommodating them in hotels. The first people will move into the barge later this month. French forward Kylian Mbappé has been put up for sale by his team Paris Saint-Germain and has been excluded from the squad's pre-season tour to Asia. Relations between the striker and the PSG have been tense since he refused to sign a year's extension to his contract, which ends next summer. The club is determined to stop the 24-year-old, its all-time leading goal scorer and the second most expensive player ever, from leaving for free. It's widely believed the forward hopes to join Real Madrid for nothing at the end of the upcoming season. Flowers for Tony Bennett on his Hollywood Walk of Fame star, following news on Friday that the legendary singer had died at the age of 96. He had a knack for creating new standards, and his decades-long career brought him admirers across generations. His final album, released in 2021, featured duets with Lady Gaga and songs by American composer Cole Porter. Bennett was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2016, and his publicist said he died at home in New York of age-related causes.